I found myself alone in the dimly lit office, surrounded by the low hum of computers and the occasional flickering of fluorescent lights. It was just another night shift, one of many I had grown accustomed to as a diligent employee working late into the night. However, tonight, something felt different, a subtle shift in the atmosphere that sent shivers down my spine. The office was located on the outskirts of town, far away from the bustling city life. The isolation had never bothered me before, but on this particular night, the silence seemed deafening, and the darkness beyond the office windows felt like an unyielding void. As I continued my work, I began to notice odd occurrences. A faint rustling sound coming from the empty cubicles, as if papers were being shuffled by an unseen hand. I attributed it to my tired mind playing tricks on me, but my unease only grew with each passing minute. With a sense of dread, I glanced at the security cameras, half expecting to see an intruder or a stray animal. To my surprise, the monitors displayed empty spaces. No one but myself resided in the office at that late hour. Brushing off the eerie feeling, I delved back into my work, trying to ignore the unshakable sense that I was being watched. My desk lamp provided a small bubble of light in the darkness, creating an illusion of safety within the otherwise unexplored shadows. Minutes turned into hours, and the clock seemed to drag on. The building's settling groans and the distant hoot of an owl outside added to the ominous ambiance that had wrapped itself around me. In an effort to shake off the unease, I decided to take a quick break and head to the office pantry for a cup of coffee. As I stood up, a cold breeze brushed past my neck, causing my heart to skip a beat. The air conditioning wasn't on, and all the windows were shut, so where could the draft have come from? Ignoring the unsettling feeling gnawing at me, I walked down the empty corridor, my footsteps echoing through the empty halls. Upon reaching the pantry, I was met with an unexpected sight. The coffee machine had turned on by itself, and the aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled the air. My hands trembled as I poured myself a cup, questioning my sanity as the coffee machine sat innocently before me. Could it have been a glitch? Or was there something more sinister at play? As I returned to my desk, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was not alone in the office. The flickering lights seemed to cast eerie shadows on the walls, and the office layout seemed unfamiliar, as if rearranged by some unseen force. Attempting to rationalize the inexplicable events, I chided myself for letting my imagination run wild. But deep down, I knew there was something unsettling about this night. Just as I was about to continue my work, I heard a soft, whispered voice. It was faint, barely audible, but it was there, an indiscernible murmur that sent a shiver down my spine. "Who's there?" I called out into the darkness, my voice trembling with fear. Silence greeted me in response, and I began to question whether I had truly heard anything at all. I turned back to my computer screen, trying to push the unsettling encounter out of my mind. But the feeling of being watched persisted, and the sense of unease grew stronger. As the night wore on, the office seemed to come alive with strange noises, a creaking floorboard here, a distant tapping there. I couldn't help but feel like an intruder in my own workplace. Determined to finish my tasks and leave this eerie environment behind, I focused on my work, trying to drown out the unsettling sensations. Just when I thought the night couldn't get any stranger, I noticed something peculiar in the reflection of my computer screen. A figure standing behind me, partially obscured in the shadows. My heart pounded in my chest, and I turned around to face whatever was behind me. But the office was empty once more. With trembling hands, I reached for my phone, intending to call security or a colleague for reassurance. However, as I dialed the number, my phone displayed an error message. A glitch or something more sinister? Frustration and fear overcame me, and I decided it was time to leave. As I gathered my belongings and rushed towards the exit, a chilling whisper filled the air once more. "Don't leave. Stay with us." The voice was soft and haunting, and I could feel its presence surrounding me like a suffocating fog. Without a second thought, I bolted out of the office, not looking back until I was safely outside. As I caught my breath in the cool night air, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had just escaped something truly terrifying. From that night on, I never returned to the office alone after dark. The unexplained occurrences and chilling presence had left an indelible mark on my psyche, forever changing the way I looked at the mundane setting of my workplace. To this day, I can't help but wonder what lay in the shadows of that office, the lingering enigma of a night shift I could never forget. I had always been fascinated by history and the stories that lay hidden within the walls of ancient artifacts. So, when I landed a job as a security guard at the city's renowned museum, it felt like a dream come true. Little did I know that the night shift would turn into a living nightmare that would haunt me for the rest of my days. As the sun dipped below the horizon, I made my way to the museum for my first swing shift. The grand facade of the building loomed before me, its stone-carved gargoyles seeming to watch my every move. I shook off the eerie feeling, attributing it to the excitement of starting a new job. Once inside, I was greeted by my colleague, Joe, who had been working the swing shift for years. He seemed friendly enough, but there was a hint of weariness in his eyes that made me wonder what he had experienced during his time at the museum. As the night settled in, Joe handed me the keys to the various wings and galleries and briefed me on my responsibilities. He warned me about the museum's eccentric collection and the strange occurrences that had baffled even the most skeptical of guards. "It's all just folklore and rumors," Joe assured me with a nervous chuckle. "But stick to the rules and trust your instincts. You'll be fine." With those parting words, Joe left for the night, leaving me alone in the vast expanse of the museum. The quiet stillness that enveloped the exhibits felt both comforting and unsettling. As the hours passed, the museum took on an entirely different ambiance. The artifacts seemed to come alive under the dim lighting, casting haunting shadows on the walls. The creaks and groans of the old building echoed through the corridors, making me jump at the slightest sound. As I made my rounds, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Each turn I took, I half expected to encounter a specter from the past. Though I knew the museum was filled with incredible stories of history, I never anticipated becoming a part of one myself. In one of the remote galleries, I noticed a flickering light that seemed to dance across the paintings. My heart pounded as I approached, thinking it was an electrical issue. But as I drew nearer, the light vanished, leaving only the haunting silence behind. Trying to dismiss the strange incident, I continued my rounds, only to catch a glimpse of a figure in the corner of my eye. I turned swiftly, but there was no one there. Anxiety crept into my thoughts, and I wondered if Joe's warnings were more than just folklore. The hours wore on, and the museum's stillness became oppressive. At times, I could have sworn I heard whispers and distant laughter echoing through the halls. It was as if the museum was alive with the memories of its storied past. As I neared the ancient Egyptian exhibit, an eerie glow emanated from one of the sarcophagi. I approached cautiously, half expecting to witness the supernatural. To my relief, it turned out to be nothing more than a malfunctioning light fixture. But just as I exhaled a sigh of relief, the temperature in the room plummeted, and a gust of icy wind rushed past me. My heart pounded in my chest as the hairs on my neck stood on end. Suddenly, a faint melody filled the air, the enchanting notes of an ancient song that seemed to reverberate from the walls themselves. I tried to rationalize the phenomenon, but there was no logical explanation for what I was experiencing. Overwhelmed with fear, I fled from the exhibit, seeking the comfort of the security room. There, I found solace in the glow of the monitor screens, hoping the view of the cameras would anchor me in reality. But the cameras offered no respite. As I scanned through the feeds, I caught glimpses of spectral figures flitting across the exhibits, their ethereal forms barely visible to the naked eye. My heart raced as I witnessed the inexplicable before me. In a desperate attempt to find a rational explanation, I called Joe. His voice trembled as he listened to my account, and he urged me to stay put until he arrived. I held onto the receiver tightly, praying for Joe's arrival to dispel the haunting terror that had consumed me. When Joe finally arrived, his face was pale and drawn. He revealed the dark history of the museum, the tragic tales of restless spirits and unexplained phenomena that had plagued the building for generations. As we huddled together in the security room, Joe shared stories of unexplained footsteps, ghostly apparitions, and the eerie sound of laughter echoing through the halls. He recounted the chilling tale of a night guard who had disappeared without a trace, leaving behind only his flashlight and a trail of confusion. From that night on, I never looked at the museum the same way again. The grand halls that had once held beauty and wonder were now tainted by the lingering presence of the unknown. I couldn't help but wonder if the spirits of the past had chosen me to share in their tales, or if it was merely the imagination of a terrified security guard. As I left the museum that fateful night, I vowed to never return to the swing shift again. The haunting memories of that night would forever be etched in my mind, a reminder that some mysteries are better left unsolved, and that the past has a way of weaving its tales into the fabric of our lives.